Hi, Linda here from Linda Unfiltered, back again. I was just looking at YouTube and I saw a video of somebody I subscribed to, and her thumbnail said, "You couldn't pay me to go back to 25 years old." I'm like, huh? Why would somebody say that? She's in her 50s. Maybe her 20s just weren't as good as mine, but I think my 20s were like some of the best times of my life. I have some very fond memories of it. To look at me now, you wouldn't know it, but I was a big metalhead, and a lot of my life back then was going to concerts and seeing bands and just having fun. I mean, I enjoyed my life. I was just like single and free. I could do just anything I want. I was, and I did. And I just got really into music and concerts and going to the clubs, and that was my thing. I did some traveling. The end of my 20s, I even got a horse, which is something I dreamed of having since I was a child. I had to deliver newspapers in the mornings as a second job to pay for it, but hey, I did it. I just absolutely loved life. I don't know. I guess everybody's different. Maybe her 20s were different because I know she does have older kids and she was married and had a divorce, so maybe she had a life that wasn't quite as bad, quite as good as mine. But then, I don't know, she might have liked life too, because she did get, some people dream of that. They want to get married, they want to have kids, that's their part. I never wanted that, so that didn't bother me at all. In fact, I don't know. I don't know how I would have handled that happening in my 20s instead of what I did. So I'd say my 20s, which was in the 1980s, were my favorite decade, for sure. And speaking of the 80s and being a metalhead, I have to say R.I.P. to Ozzy. He was one of the biggest metal artists. I mean, everybody knows who Ozzy is. I mean, even today, he has got a name. Everybody knows Ozzy. For good or bad, I mean, I really feel bad for his family. My heart goes out to them because I know they're a really close family, lots of love. So I do feel bad. But Ozzy is one of the many bands I saw back in the 80s. I saw him a few times. You couldn't be a metalhead and not go to see Ozzy at least once. And I saw him 2 or 3 times, I think, in the 80s. My favorite memory was my first show when I saw him. It was like the very early 80s. I don't know exactly which year, but it was the year Randy Rhoads died. I remember that because the show got postponed by a month because of the death. I was so sad to hear Randy was so young, and he was such a great musician. It was such a shame. But anyway, that concert was probably the one with the biggest memory I have of Ozzy, mainly because I had second row center seats. I went with my brother-in-law, I remember. And it was like, it was just like such a great show. We were just like rocking out and having fun and everything, and all of it. About at one point in the show, Ozzy picks up a bucket. Rumor had it that the bucket was going to have blood in it. And he was going to throw it into the audience. When he brought this bucket to the edge of the stage, it looked like he was looking straight at me. I mean, maybe he was, or maybe he was looking at somebody next to me, but it looked like he was looking straight at me, and I was like, oh no, I hope it's not blood. And he threw it out, and it was just water. The water felt so good, because I was so sweaty from all the rocking out I was doing and having fun. But that's my favorite memory. Never met the guy, but that's the closest I came. I think he was looking straight at me when he threw that bucket of water. I don't know. I have a lot of memories from the 80s, from all kinds of concerts. Gosh, I couldn't list them all here. I mean, we just always had so much fun. I met a lot of people during that time. I know I'm a total loner now. I live alone and hardly talk to anybody. Back then, I was a totally different person, you could say. But that's all right. I mean, although I was at my happiest during the 80s when I was in my 20s, I have to admit, this time of age where I'm like 67 years old, I'm probably at my most content. I have the most contentment in my years. I feel very content. And content is a good feeling. May not be happy, but it's content. Content is a good feeling. Like you're just happy with where you are, your house, the things you do. I mean, sometimes I do wish I could be a little bit more outgoing and get out there more and meet people and whatever, but I don't know. I'm content here. Not happy, but content. Contentment's a good thing. So what was your favorite decade of your life? Do you have one that in particular that has the most memories? The most happy memories or contentment? Or how do you handle your aging? I hate when I stutter like that, but I just do it. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you. Ciao for now, and rock on.